Brian Grimes, your real estate mentor, back with another action-packed session. Today, we're going to be doing a real estate market update. We're going to be talking about interest rates, where are they headed, and how is that going to impact the market? We're going to be talking about realtor commissions. There's been some shakeups and changes going on there. How is that going to impact things? Are realtors just going to drop out of the business? Are you going to have to represent yourself? We're going to get into that a bit. And then we also are going to talk about the best strategy for cash flow investing in 2024, how to position yourself, why it's important, and why you still need to get started. This is still one of the best years to get started in this game. If you're new to the channel, like, comment, subscribe. Leave a comment that says, I subscribe. For everyone who leaves that comment, I'm going to send you instant access to one of my free real estate trainings. It's going to show you how to acquire properties for pennies on the dollar all across the country. Don't want to miss out on that free offer. If you're interested in any of our programs, so we have the real estate ride along. The real estate ride along is coming up on May 18th. That's a Saturday. You're going to spend the day with me. We have some special guests. If you're like a what's a mortgage person, you kind of know what that means. We have special guests tapping in. We're going to see about 10 to 15 properties in various stages of full gut renovation all across the city. So we're going to show you how to invest out of state, out of town, in a top 10 cash flow city. Make sure you tap into that. We're running dangerously low on pre-order tickets, but we still have some tickets available. So click the links in the description and you can tap into that ride along, get your ticket before they sell out. And then if you're interested in our boots on the ground program, where we find the properties for you, we finance them, so we connect you with the lending partners. We rehab them, so we build them with our in-house crews. Then we tenant place, so we'll do Section 8, market rentals, co-living, room rentals, all of that stuff. And then we will manage them for you at 5%. Reach out about that. We have a few spots open. We did have a bunch of people tap in over the last 2 weeks, but that's still available if you guys are interested. So reach out about those. Click the links in the description at any point in time. Book a call with me and my team, and we'll be glad to talk to you guys. You know, I'll talk to you guys one-on-one if you guys want to get a hold of me that way. Let's do mindset. And we're going to run through this pretty quickly. So if you guys have questions, drop them in the chat section, drop them in the comment section. I will address your questions as we're flowing through this, but I want to keep this tight as well. So make sure your questions are preloaded so that when we turn to them, we get to them. If they're not there, we're just going to wrap it up. Mindset. The mindset you should have really at all times, but definitely this year, because there's a lot going on. We just got hit with the people in the Northeast, an earthquake like 3 days ago. We had a solar eclipse. Everything's kind of happening this year. You have to decide what scares you the most. Is it investing in real estate that scares you the most? And a lot of us are truly horrified. I know when I started off as a real estate investor, I was petrified on my first deal. I didn't know what I was doing. I had maybe less than 1% of the knowledge that I have today. And I was just scared, man. There's no other way to put it. Like, my biggest fear was that the house was just going to burn down. It's just going to catch on fire or just topple down. I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't have that pre-existing experience. I hadn't rehabbed hundreds of properties. So fear was definitely there, but it didn't hold me back, because at the time I was working 100% commission, but I was making less than like $30,000 a year. And my biggest fear was staying the same, was keeping myself small, not going for my dreams, not trying to achieve higher levels and build more cash flow outside of the 9 to 5. I was more afraid of being kind of mediocre, what I viewed for myself as mediocre, than I was of going after real estate and failing. So to me, the fear was still driving me, but it was well positioned, which is why you have to choose your fear carefully. Choose what you're afraid of. But this is an opportunity within this question to choose your fear. So you do have to sit with yourself and say, look, what am I really afraid of here? Am I afraid of the real estate, or am I afraid of just being the same? Am I afraid of waking up 10 years from now and being in the same exact position and just 10 years older and not really having any time or energy to go out after my dreams now? And this happens in the blink of an eye. You know, in the blink of an eye, you look up, you're 30, you're 40, you're 50, you're 60, you're 70. You're like, I don't have any energy. I can't go after it now. I don't know how to use the technology. I don't know how to get it done. And even with where we're at with technology, even if you're like 30 right now, 30 years from now, there may be some new technology out that you're not well versed in. And now you can't compete. You can't go after your dreams. So you have to choose what you're afraid of. Somebody asked me, how old were you when you started, and did you have a mentor? When I started this, I was in my early 20s. I was probably 24, 25 when I started. And I studied for years and saved for years. Like I said, guys, I was making less than you. Anybody watching this, like my first year working, I made 8 grand. I basically paid to work. I'm sure I spent more in gas and tolls than 8 grand that year, ripping and running around the city. So I made less than most of you guys. It took me 2 years of saving and studying to get to the level where I could even get into my first deal. My first deal, I put down maybe $7,000 to get that deal. Yes, I had some mentors, but no, I did not have mentorship in the way that I provide mentorship to you guys. I'm literally giving you, hey, here's exactly what you want to do. I did exactly what you're looking to do. Here's the exact steps to do it. I put it into trainings and course modules. Oh, you wanted me to just do it for you? Tap into my boots on the ground program. I'm going to do it for you. I've set this thing up in a way where you guys can tap in at an all-time level, at a level that I didn't have. I did not have a mentor who was like, hey, BG, I got you. Just tap into my resources, use my contractors. I'll connect you with the lenders. We'll build through it. Don't worry about it. We'll get it done on budget. And then we'll show you how to tenant it, and I'll manage it for you below market just so you get more cash flow. No, I didn't have that. No, I didn't have anything like that. And it didn't exist. And the technology, even Instagram, it was not as built out like this. Even if you look at, I can't think of that one platform where people will go on and you'll just kind of talk. Like these social media platforms will pop up all the time. And sometimes they're new. Instagram was new at a point in time. There weren't that many people on it. I had a couple of buddies on it and they're like, yo, you should think about Instagram. It's kind of cool. You send pictures. People weren't really even shooting a lot of videos and really doing marketing on this stuff. So you couldn't find the mentorship that you needed. I found one mentor. This was over 12 years ago. It was a Russian woman, and she was charging $10,000, $1,000 per session for 10 phone calls. It wasn't even a Zoom call. There was no course. There was no nothing. It was 10 phone calls, and it was $10,000, $1,000 a call, minimum 10 call package. That was out there, and it was like, okay, if this isn't a fit, and she wasn't even really doing what I was trying to do. She wasn't in a city that I was interested in. She was in like New York. And I knew that the landlord tenant laws in New York were not favorable. I wanted to do this in a place like Philly where it was at least balanced between landlords and tenants. So no, I didn't have access to the mentorship that, I provide now. And that's why I had to go a different route and take my time and go slower. Whereas you guys can tap in and accelerate a lot faster, in my opinion. How much capital should somebody have for their first deal? And any advice on how to find a good first deal? You should have, it depends, because if you do a FHA house hack, you can start with very little. Like I said, I got my first deal for less than 10,000, right? So you don't need a ton of money to get started in this game. If you're doing like a burst strategy deal, like we'll do for our people in the boots on the ground program, you probably want to have like 25,000 because that's what the lenders want to see. Doesn't mean you're going to use it all. But that's what the lenders want to see in terms of liquidity, at least 25K and a 680 credit score. You can get started with a 620 credit score and 20K or 15K, but you have to be more creative. And we teach a lot of that in our course content, like the creative finance piece, how to invest with limited cash and bad or no credit. We teach you that stuff too, which is advanced. It was over my head when I first got started, but it can definitely get you to that level. And how to find a good first deal, you really need to get mentored into that because the market is more competitive than it's ever been. But it's going to get easier. And we're going to talk about why it's going to get easier as we get closer to 2025. We're going to talk about that in today's market update. But those are some good questions. I would say if you're struggling to find good deals, just reach out, click the links in the description, tap into some of the free trainings where we'll show you how we're analyzing and finding good deals in today's market. I'm actively doing it. I did a post on IG. I just helped one of our boots on the ground members. So they joined the program, I think only like 20 days ago. They have 3 deals under contract. One of them was a 5-unit commercial building that they got for pennies on the dollar. And then they have some other deals. So tapping in and letting us do it for you is fast track. I mean, you're going to get it done. Or we can teach you. You can tap into like our do-it-yourself course content and we can teach you all that. But guys, keep the questions coming. I'm going to jump into the market update quickly. We'll tap back in for some questions and keep this thing going. So let's talk first about these realtor commissions and kind of some of the stuff that's going on there. So you have these realtor commission changes that are going on. And anecdotally, I asked my realtor that we work with in the Boots on the Ground program, one of my closer relationships, I'm just like, what do you think about this thing, man? Like, you're in the biz, you're on the buyer side typically as a buyer's agent. And what they've done is they've uncoupled realtor commission. So they made it that you can't advertise that you're giving the buyer's agent a guaranteed percentage rate on the MLS. It doesn't mean you can't advertise that you are giving them a percentage split. You would just have to do that as a realtor on your personal website, which is interesting. So they haven't gotten rid of commission splitting at all. They've just taken it off of the MLS and made it a bit more, they've kind of made it more transparent and less transparent. I'm going to talk about why that's important. But this thing has basically, the reason that they did this is they want realtors to lower their fees. They want there to be more negotiation, more transparency. When you uncouple this, almost you're like kind of killing a monopoly. You're creating the opportunity for competition amongst different real estate brokerage groups. So one group of sellers agents may decide, you know what, we're not going to take 6%, we'll take 5%, and then we'll figure it out with the buyer's agent. So now there's just a little bit more competition. Maybe another group is newer, they say we'll do 4%, and we'll split it 2 and 2. And the buyer's agents, because they're not guaranteed 3% at a higher scale, they're more likely to say, okay, we'll take the 2 here, we'll take the 1 over here, the 1.5 there, the 3 there. They're just going to mix it all up and kind of put that money together at the end of the day. So creating the opportunity for competition, hypothetically, in a free market should lead to some people trying to undercut other people, which ultimately will price gouge. It will reduce fees. My agent just said, look, I'm not worried about this. Some agents are dramatic. They're like, oh, I'm going to quit the business. This is the end. And not a lot of people feel that way. The smart agents, in my opinion, are just like, whatever. We'll see how this thing shakes out. But the bottom line is people still need buyer's agents. People still need seller's agents. And there's still going to be real estate commissions. The seller is likely to still pay those. There's kind of a lot of fear mongering out there that says, oh, well, the seller is only going to pay their percent and then the buyer is going to have to pay their own fees. That's not really going to happen. Think about a $600,000 home sale and you're the seller. Are you going to try to keep 2% of that sale and then slow down the sale because you don't want to split any commissions with the buyer's agent? And who's going to come and buy that property and pay that 2-3% out of their pocket to get the deal? You're going to limit your pool of buyers. And as a seller, you don't want to do that. You want to open this up to as many buyers as possible who will bid up the price of your property. So you're incentivized at all times to make this easier on buyers to come and see your property and to have their agents get paid. You certainly don't want their agents doing something called steering. And this is a consequence of uncoupling real estate commissions, is that a buyer's agent can look and say, oh, well, you're not going to pay me 3%. Well, these guys are over here, so I'm going to go show their properties to my buyers. I'm not showing your property because you're not paying me. So buyer's agents could hypothetically steer buyers away from properties where they get lower commissions, and it will happen. So I don't think there's going to be as much of a shakeout as people think. I think this is just going to be kind of business as usual for the most part. There's going to be more back and forth between buyers and sellers agents. You're just not going to see the activity through the MLS. We can't see it anyway because we don't have that vision. We don't have that access to the MLS that the agents have. But it's now going to be pulled off of that and put on private sites, and the negotiations will happen directly through the buyers and sellers agents. So I wouldn't worry about it. It's kind of the big deal. I wouldn't worry about this at all. I think it's going to be a non-issue. It's going to be business as usual. This is just clickbait that's out there. And nobody's really saying that. But if you watch any of these podcasts, I mean, they'll talk about this for an hour. Oh, this could happen, that could happen. At the end of the day, nobody knows. And when I've gone straight to the horse's mouth and done my research, I'm looking at it and saying, this is a bunch of nonsense. This is just a way for people to clickbait and get people to watch the news and get higher ratings. I mean, it's nonsense. Sellers are still going to pay the majority of these commissions. They're going to come out of the sell side, and they're going to split the commissions between the buyer and seller. There's just going to be more negotiation. There's going to be different rates and tiers. And ultimately, it should bring down the ultimate commission rate from probably 6%, maybe down to as low as like 4% on average. And I was doing some more research, and it showed that across the globe, the average realtor commission is only like 2% on the buy and sell side. So they're like splitting a point on each side. So it's extremely high in the US. 6% as just a fixed transaction fee is extremely high when we compare that to what's going on internationally. Internationally, it's 2%. So maybe agents are getting paid too much, but I know how hard my agent hustles and how hard real estate agents hustle. And it's worth 3%, guys. Like, it's a lot of work to go back and forth, to meet at properties, chase down sellers agents, negotiate back and forth. It's work, and it's not work that you necessarily want to cut out agents and do yourself. This is a value add. Even somebody like me who's purchased over 300 properties, I've essentially always used realtors. I swear by realtors. They have a value. They are not going to educate you about, you know, how much it's going to cost to renovate a property or any of these things, but they do offer value. A quick question we got is, how are you finding buyers? I'm more on the buy side, so I'm not finding buyers. I'm looking for properties. I'm always on the buy side, and I'm always building properties and doing the BRRRR strategy, which we'll talk about in a little bit. The boots on the ground, how does that work? We find the properties, we finance them, so we connect you with the lending partners. We rehab the properties, we tenant them, and we manage them for you. It's a complete turnkey service, and that's just how that works. So if you're looking for a way where somebody can come in and do everything for you, and you keep the property, you own it, you keep all the cash flow, you're going to keep all the equity, we will facilitate that with our in-house teams. Somebody said, hey, I wish you the best for you and your family. Appreciate that, bro. Let's get into the next step. So where are interest rates headed? Well, they're going down, and we kind of all should know that hypothetically, but rates are projected to continue to be cut. We expect the Fed to start cutting rates over the next 6 to 8 months. So as we get closer to the end of 2024 into 2025, rates are going to continue to go down. Here's the forecast from some pretty big players, the Mortgage Bankers Association. They're projecting that in Q2, which we're in now, 2024, the 30-year fixed average rate is going to be 6.6%. By Q4, we're down to 6.1%. And they're kind of on the lower end of the spectrum. By the end of 2025, down to 5.5%. I will tell you guys right now, once you get back into the fives, cash flow starts getting really serious. Properties can start cash flowing $1,000 a month again in places like Philadelphia. And I'm going to talk about where to invest in Philly in just a second, if you guys are interested in Philly. Philly is an interesting market because it's a top 10 cash flow city in the country. It's the 6th largest city in the country, and it's the sister city to New York City. So as people get priced out of New York, which is guaranteed to happen, they're going to keep moving to Philly because people in New York hate Boston. They ain't moving to Boston, another close big city, because New Yorkers hate Boston, if you didn't know that. So rates are going to go down. As rates go down and get closer to that 5% range, or even a low 6s, right now they're less than 7. So they're already trending down. They were as high as 8% earlier this year. Now they're already down a point and under 7s. What's going to happen is there's a lot of pent up seller demand. There are a lot of sellers that are sitting on their properties. They won't sell until rates go lower. But if rates go from 6.9 down to 5.9, 1 percentage point, which could happen this year, it's going to start unlocking that seller demand. Sellers are going to start dumping more properties, but also buyers who are sitting there trying to time interest rates, they're going to come back in droves. 1 percentage point, everybody's going to start buying again. People are going to start selling again. People are going to start buying again in a massive way, and prices are going to go up. So the further rates go down, the higher prices are going to go, which means there's a window of opportunity for you right now. There's a very limited window of opportunity for you to buy properties while prices are pretty flat, and they've been flat for about 1.5 years now. And then as prices rise and rates go down, you can refinance into a lower rate and unlock cash flow. This is a unique window that those who are smart enough, who are bold enough, brave enough, will take advantage of. They say when there's blood in the streets, buy the real estate. What that means is when people are fearful, when people are scared of the market, when people think it's a bad market, that's when you should be looking at buying opportunities. And opportunities to exploit the market situations and conditions. This is the play, which is to buy. The best cash flow play right now is to buy properties at an extreme discount, which you can do right now. Understanding that rates are higher, put those deals not on a 30-year fix. Do not go with a 30-year fixed note right now. I'm going to say it. Nobody else is going to tell you this. But the 30-year fix, when you get that note, you're paying a higher fee for a 30-year lock-in at a low rate. You're paying a higher fee for that. So there are higher fees embedded in that loan. There are higher origination fees. There's a higher interest rate that you're going to pay today. And there's usually prepayment penalties that are tiered down over the first 5 years on these 30-year fixed notes. What you should be doing instead is getting a lower rate, getting a 5-year one. It's called a 5-1 ARM. It's locked in for 5 years, and then it's an annual renewable mortgage after year 5. A 5-1 ARM comes at typically a 1 percentage point lower interest rate, or thereabout, half a point to 1 point lower, but as much as 1 point lower. So if the average rate on a 30-year right now is 6.9, you can get some 5-1 ARMs in the high 5% range or the low 2% range without any rate buy downs or any extra add-ons like that. Since you're going to refinance anyway as rates fall, this becomes the smartest strategy today. If rates are going to go down in the next 2 years, why would you lock in a 30-year fix at a higher rate when rates are going down and then pay a penalty to refinance out of that into a lower rate? Just get the lower cost mortgage option with the lower interest rate associated with it and refinance out of that. That 5-1 ARM is also going to have a reduced prepayment penalty, if not no prepayment penalty at all. The reason why mortgage companies are not advertising this to you is because they know it's the best strategy and they want you to pay more fees. Typically, why would that hurt them if you pay more fees? So they're not going to tell you the best strategy. They know you're going to refinance as rates go lower. They're just waiting for people to want to refinance and get beat over the head with those fees. I don't want you guys to get clubbed over the head like that. So rewind this, watch this over, and pay attention to that strategy. Let's get into I'll answer a couple more questions, and then we'll get into the last talking point. Wayne said, realtors definitely work hard, but they make a lot. Where else can you make 3% of any transaction? 3% is actually not that big in the grand scheme of things. Somebody said, can a DSCR work with a 5-1 ARM? Yes, they do have DSCR loans on 5-1 ARMs. Their 5-1 ARMs are all over the place. You can definitely find one. 3% is not a lot. I mean, when I was selling insurance, for instance, there were products where you could take down a 10% commission. A car salesman makes a big commission. A lot of sales professionals can make as much as 20, 30% commissions on a transaction. 3% is pretty small. And you have to keep it in mind. That might be a lot in California when the average price is selling, average property selling for $1 million. But if you're in Philly and we're buying properties for $60,000, $70,000, or you're in Cleveland and people are buying properties for 40, 50K, or you're in Baltimore and somebody's buying them for 30, 40, 50,000, what's 3% of 30,000? It's not even a G. So how many of those deals would you have to do to make the average median income of like 45,000? They're going to move 50 deals a year. That's a lot. That's a lot of work, because every time you do the work, that doesn't even mean the buyer is going to be fully qualified and be able to close on this deal. They might get held up in title. They might get held up on the mortgage end. It's a lot of work. There is a good compensation rate for some of the top realtors, but not everybody is a top realtor selling $1 million homes. It's actually not that much money, but it is a lot of money in the higher price markets. So you will see more negotiations in the higher price markets on realtor commissions. There's going to be a lot more pressure to push those realtor commissions down in a place like California than there will be in Philly or Baltimore or Cleveland. This is why my realtor in Philly is like, who cares? It's not really going to impact us over here, because the property prices are so low. We're splitting hairs. We're talking about $500 here or there, $500, $800 going this way or that. Nobody cares. They're going to get the deal done. In California, you're talking about $30,000 here or there. it's much more important. There's going to be a lot more downward pressure. So depending on where you are, I mean, you have to know real estate is a micro local industry. So what's going on, for instance, on the West Coast, you can't get any cash flow. On the Northeast, where we're at, in like Philly, Baltimore, Delaware, and some of the top 10 cash flow cities in the country, there's massive amounts of cash flow and rents just keep going up. So it depends on where you're at. Over here, less impact. In the higher price markets, think Colorado, think Phoenix, Arizona, California, Washington, New York. This is going to be pretty big, and it's going to have an impact. But it ain't going to have an impact on us in the Boots on the Ground program as cash flow investors. And that's good news for the Boots on the Ground people and people like me who are in the high cash flow cities. And if you're not in a high cash flow city and you want to get in, reach out, tap into the Boots on the Ground program. We'll get you tapped in. I mean, we even have people from Canada, from New Zealand tapped in. Our New Zealand investor, we actually closed on his first deal. We started construction today. Mike, if you're watching, we'll be talking on Thursday, just kind of walking through next steps. So lastly, as I promised, we're going to talk about Philly, some of the top 10 places to invest in Philly. I always get these questions from people who are interested in Boots on the Ground or in the Boots on the Ground program. Where are the best parts of Philly? Well, one, we always talk about Fishtown. Fishtown is just very attractive. Prices have risen the most. Brewery Town is number 2 on the list. It's in North Philly. I've taken some of you guys on the ride along through Brewery Town. And some of you are like, bro, Brian, it's a little block to block here. Like, there's a nice new construction next to a land lot. Yeah, but it's the second, like, top 10 up and coming area. Lots of value. There's Old Kensington, which is right between Fishtown and Northern Liberties. There's Port Richmond. Port Richmond is interesting because it's right beneath, like, one of the worst parts of the city. So you have, like, the worst part of the city. And then if you go a couple of avenues down, top 5, like top 5. And the values go from $60,000 for a 3-bed, 1-bath to $350,000 for a 3-bed, 1-bath. It's kind of crazy. But this is why you need to come out to a real estate ride along and feel it. Chestnut Hill is like getting out into the suburbs. Logan Square is kind of center city. Strawberry Mansion is actually number 7 on this list, which I thought was pretty interesting because many people consider Strawberry Mansion to be like, it used to be D class, but to me it's C class because it's not the worst part of the city. There's definitely blight, there's definitely crime, there's definitely these things that are going to be elements within pockets of the city where there's massive value. But to me, this is that perfect C class pocket where people who buy in now are going to have their properties appreciate 100K or more within the next 5 to 7 years. I don't even think it'll take 10 years, and it might not even take 5. There's a renaissance going on in Philadelphia. Everywhere, as we go on this ride along, especially this next one, which may be the last one of the year. People have been asking me that. When's the next one? I can't make this one. This may be the last one of the year. So I recommend just tapping into this one if you want to get out and get hands-on with me in Philly. But this market, like as we get in May and it gets warm, you'll see every block we go on in this ride along, there's going to be contractors hanging off of ladders, hanging out of windows, banging hammers. I mean, Philly is just being rebuilt at a rapid level. And this is the time to get in on this opportunity if you're interested. So guys, hope that helps. I'm going to answer a couple more questions, but this is a good market. Rates are going down. You need to buy now. As prices go up, it's going to create equity. Rates are going to go down. You're going to do a cash out refinance, unlock all of your capital out of the deal, and unlock more cash flow as you lock in a lower rate. And then you put that next refinance lower rate on a 30-year fix. That's the strategy you want to lock into. You can do it with a DSCR loan. You don't have to have perfect credit. You don't have to have tons of cash to get started with this. You just need to get locked in, tapped in, and learn this game. Because as this market changes and rates get lower and sellers come back, there's going to be a flood of cheap properties that hit the market. And price drops on the lower end, the properties that need rehab, the ones that we go after. This is going to be a tidal wave of deals. And I think I'm going to save this for my Wednesday session with What's a Mortgage with the Wham family and men. But we're going to be talking about how we're also sourcing off-market deals for the boots on the ground people. Exciting news. I've launched a motivated seller campaign just for boots on the ground members. So I'm taking my own money and pouring it into this campaign to uncover motivated sellers in the Philadelphia market. We're going direct to sellers, and any deals that we uncover, we're going to pump right into the boots on the ground program. So we are going to wholesale directly from sellers and put those deals right in front of you guys. So it's even more of an incentive to get into the boots on the ground program, because not only are we turnkeying everything, we're just going directly off market as well. So we're going to start sourcing deals for our people. So as this tidal wave hits, we're going to get the juiciest deals with no competition, because we're just going direct to seller. So that's going to be happening as well. I'll take a couple more questions because I want to keep this short, and then we'll wrap this one up. Let's see. How hard do realtors actually work? They work pretty hard, man. 3% is 3% with no education required. You need real estate education is an education. Even though they don't teach this stuff in school, I will argue that learning real estate is more important than anything you'll ever learn in school. You could be a triple doctorate and know nothing effectively about wealth building if you don't know about real estate. So let's not confuse ourselves with getting a degree and a diploma that says, yes, we did it, versus having knowledge of how wealth is built in America. This is why real estate is so important. And there's a reason why they don't teach you this stuff in school, because if everybody knew this, everybody would be unlocked from the matrix. There would be no matrix. It would break the matrix in that sense. Somebody asked, how do we get on info on the ride along? Click the links in the description. Tap into my YouTube channel. Click, if you're on Instagram, click the link in my IG stories. There's a link and it will take you to my YouTube channel, and you can click the links in the description and tap in and sign up for the real estate ride along. You can learn more about it. There's some videos that teach you about it, some testimonials, and then you can sign up. There's limited pre-order tickets because we have celebrity guests and everybody coming out to this one. So we're already running dangerously low. So if you're interested, definitely tap in. I live in Jersey. Think it's smart to look to Philly or stick to my neighborhood. Definitely look to Philly if you're in Jersey. Jersey has run up so much in pricing that you will want to look into the Philadelphia market. You're going to get much more bang for your buck in the Philadelphia market. I think that is it, guys. So hopefully this helped. Brian Grimes, your real estate mentor. I'll see you guys on the next one.